few minutes just to recap and wrap up the event. We talked about three very interesting topics. We talked about Gen AI, we talked about the app economy, and we talked about regulations. Now, I'd like to go back to Gen AI to start with, and it was really a privilege to have Arca, who has been at the heart really of this transformation. He was called by Sam Altman to join OpenAI, 3 years ago. So at the beginning, before the models were made public, and he's really been in the engine room effectively of the company. And what do we see today? So clearly in Gen AI, we see that we are going beyond the experimentation stage, and we're entering the industrialization stage. So many firms now want to apply Gen AI, and it was interesting to hear that, the big top-down change management projects for the entire company may not be the best approach, and I think that's our experience as well. Very important to train people first, to look at how you augment them, and to find specific use cases, workflows that can be improved. So it was very interesting to hear about Arca's experience of rolling out these types of bottom-up approaches as well. Now, I think it's fair to say that the Pandora's box is now definitely open. So even firms trying to prevent AI from being used within their organization are struggling, and we see firms, when they do that, usually employees end up using the tools that are widely available themselves, and it could be an even worse outcome, because they use the tools, but they use the free versions of the tools that don't give the copyright. Often they're not trained, so they may share sensitive information that they shouldn't be sharing, and they do that in a way that may not be visible to their employer. So I think it's fair to say that embracing these technologies in a responsible way is now the most adapted response to what we're seeing. So increasingly firms doing that, they're training, making sure the leadership team is trained, of course, but employees as well, and focus on how you harness these new technologies. And in our experience, simple things like prompt engineering and really providing the right context, the right prompt, asking the models to help you in the right way, making sure that you're not treating these models like you would use a search engine. So this is not a one-off keyword search. This is about effectively treating the AI as a thought partner or a sparring partner. I think Ethan Mollick in his book talks about co-intelligence. So that's a more interactive engagement with a model that really provides a lot of value in terms of use cases. Always remembering that you need to keep a human in the loop. You need to check. It's very important. And also remember that the AI you're using today is probably the worst AI you will ever use, because things are improving all the time. So maybe something that didn't work only a few months ago is now very easy for the AI to do. So let's keep that in mind. So that's what's happening today. But I thought it was fascinating to also hear about what's going to happen tomorrow. And we talked a little bit about agents, for example. I think agents are around the corner. So you remember, the agents are the tools that will basically be able to not only do tasks, but accept entire goals and carry out all the underlying tasks. And I think it's fair to say that at the moment the technology is there for agents, but we don't really know yet, or the firms developing these capabilities are not sure about how they're going to be used, and are rightly worried about the impact on society. And have to decide what kind of autonomy, for example, the agents should have. I mean, should they get access to your bank account? Should they be able to create a firm in your name and things like that? So so this is one of these cases where the technology is probably ahead of society. Sora, the video model of OpenAI, is another example where Sora could be available, but it's currently not widely distributed because people were worried about deepfakes, especially during an election year in the US. So, very interesting time. We're even talking about AGI. So AGI, it's the artificial general intelligence concept. It's when the AI basically surpasses human capabilities across a wide range of cognitive tasks, and given that the AI can code very well, Claude, for example, is extremely good at coding. I mean, ChatGPT, Gemini as well, but the latest version of Claude is very, very, very good. Maybe we're approaching a point where the AI can code the next iteration of itself and enhance and reproduce itself, and maybe that point would be when we start getting into AGI. So fascinating discussion with Arca and Laure. We then talked about the app economy, and I thought that was very interesting because we're all accessing all these apps. I think Ben was talking about, on average, us using, having 150 to 200 apps installed, and I know that's probably not the case for me, and using very, very regularly 10 or 20, and we do that through app stores. So app stores are platforms that need to attract a critical mass of participants on each side. So you need to attract game developers, you need to attract app developers on one side of the platform, and on the other side, you need to attract people with iPhones or Android phones or any other device who need to get access to the app. So the App Store has got to attract people, match them, make sure people find what they're looking for, connect them, and enable them to make the transaction, to pay for the app, and ensure that the value is shared fairly within the ecosystem. So lots of important things that the App Store need to do. And when you do that, you create trust within the ecosystem. I think that was a point that Ben made, and Paolo as well. And trust is very important for the success of the ecosystem. And in that world, regulation is becoming important. Google, I think it's fair to say, has been using more of an open ecosystem, with Android being open source, and therefore Aptoide has been available on the Google ecosystem for many years, since 2009, I think Paolo mentioned. But for some other ecosystems that are more closed, like Apple, this is going to be a big change. So the new European regulations are forcing, for the first time, Apple to open its iPhone to third-party alternative app stores. And I think Aptoide is the very first one to at least experiment. Now we'll see if Aptoide can strive within the Apple ecosystem as it did in the Google one. But this is an interesting time, and we will also see how other jurisdictions position themselves. So the UK has now got the powers to follow the European DMA model with its DMCC, that's Digital Markets Competition and Consumer Bill, or not. So we'll see if we can get new app stores on Apple in the UK as well as in the rest of Europe. So that leads me to regulation. We see the importance of regulation in shaping these markets. So it was great to listen to the French Competition Authority with Elodie, and the Italian Competition Authority with Andrea, masterfully moderated, of course, by Ferouz. And lots of things are happening with AI. So of course there is the regulation of the existing platforms, but AI is becoming so important that competition authorities around the world are looking at it. And that's a difficult task for them, because if you look at the AI markets, I mean, outside of the competition authorities community, it looks incredibly competitive. Huge investments are being made. It's textbook innovation, lots of market entry, lots of diversity, different types of models, open source, proprietary, small, large, minuscule. So we see lots of vibrant innovations in that space. But at the same time, competition authorities are rightly monitoring the situation and in some cases worried that maybe we wouldn't get the full benefits of innovation in this market if some actors, could be the chip manufacturers, like the French competition authorities hinted, like NVIDIA, or some existing platforms end up becoming too dominant and end up foreclosing the market and preventing its healthy development. So there's a tension. What is going to be interesting to look at is the extent to which some of these regulations may restrict access to AI in some jurisdictions, and what the impact this has on the economy, and then it doesn't, it's no longer a theoretical exercise. It becomes something with a tangible impact. So finding the right balance is going to be very, very interesting. So I mean, it's been an incredible pleasure to bring together such a distinguished group of AI experts and policymakers and academics, executives for these conversations at Platform Leaders. So I'd like to thank everybody, all the speakers, panelists, moderators, and of course, all the Platform Leaders people who are helping me make this event possible. I'm going to forget people, but Robin Booth and Justin Coutts and Stephanie Tarleson, of course, Laure Claire, who co-chair the event with me today, and of course, Liam Calabart, who has been beautifully capturing in real time some of the panels and discussions. So thank you, all of you, for joining us today. And we've got more than 2,000 people now that are part of the Platform Leaders community, and many have contributed to chat today, sometimes directly with the speakers and hosts. So thank you for your questions, and thank you to our sponsors as well for making these events free. So I'd like to thank in particular today's sponsor. So Google is sponsoring today's event. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you later in the year for our winter event. And it's going to be a hybrid event, and we will tell you more about this in due course. That's all for me. See you soon. Thank you very much.